There are rooms now where I know more than others, and I've learned to enter those rooms carefully. Not because knowing more is wrong, but because it can change your posture. My name is Aaron. Welcome to Faith and Reverence. When I started taking adult group classes, I noticed that there are people in those classes of varying levels. It's very common in open classes, as the name suggests, but you also see it in classes that have a named skill level like intermediate or intro or beginner. For example, I started taking intermediate classes when I was still a total beginner in order to improve and challenge myself. And conversely, now as an improver to intermediate level, I'll take intro classes. Not all studios offer that, although ours does. And when they do offer it, I'll take those classes because I want to work on those fundamentals and go slowly. There's a lot to be said about that. Even if you're advanced, you could benefit from an intro class probably. But my point is, you see people of varying levels in these group classes. And one thing that I noticed is sometimes there's somebody in that intermediate class or whatever who has been going for a while and they're very comfortable there. They're a regular, maybe it's their home studio, and they want to let you know that they know what they're doing. And, this could show up in different ways. For example, if a student asks a question to the teacher and then another student jumps in and answers the question, it's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine personally. I'm not here to judge people or to judge their intentions or assume their intentions. But for me, it's like give the teacher a chance to answer the question. Now, there's something different that can happen where I can ask a question that's not directed to the teacher, maybe to another student or just to myself, and another student might answer that question. And that's great. I really love that. And I appreciate that support. And I hope that that happens more. Or sometimes I might not even ask the question, and another student might come up to me and offer me insight and help me with a specific move or whatever. And I appreciate that too. I'll listen to that feedback. Not everyone will. Not everyone's as receptive as I am, but I certainly appreciate that. So I don't want this to be misconstrued as I don't appreciate other students helping me or anyone else, because I do. But if you give the teacher a chance to answer the question, if it's directed to the teacher, then the teacher can answer the question. That's their job as the teacher. So this isn't the only way that it shows up. There are other examples that can show a posture of, I know what I'm doing or whatever. The problem was that while it was a pet peeve of mine and I noticed it in other people, once I went to those intro classes as an intermediate or improver, I actually started to notice it in myself. And I had to really analyze how I am and how I think, because it's like a contagious mindset. And I don't think it's necessarily something that we intend to do. It's just part of our human nature. It can be pride or whatever, that we want to feel like we know what we're doing. And when you can be one of the better ones in the room who has more knowledge or whatever, it's easy to fall into that mindset of, I know what I'm doing. I'm one of the best people in the room, whatever. I think we can all be guilty of it at some point in time. But there's a lot of risk that is ran there where when you feel that you know what you're doing, you don't leave yourself a whole lot of room to learn. So when I go into those intro classes as an improver to intermediate, I may be the best person in the room, but I still have to be able to go in there with a posture of, I have something to learn. I still can learn something in this class. Because if I go in there with the posture of, oh, I know what I'm doing, I'm really good, then it shuts off any opportunity for me to actually learn something in that class. And it just goes back to this idea of the people who are most successful in life, in ballet or anything else for that matter. Let's say you are the prima ballerina. like the best of the best, like Misty Copeland or Tyler Peck or whatever, fill in the blank. There are quite a few examples. Once they make it to that high level of success, the way that they stay successful and continue to improve is by having the correct posture and the correct mindset and not thinking, oh, I've made it. Because once you think, oh, I've made it, there's nowhere to go from there. You feel like you're at the top of the top, then how can you go any higher? But if you feel like I haven't made it, I may be one of the best in the world, but I still have things that I can learn and I can still improve in my craft. That's when you truly learn and that's when you thrive and you continue to grow in your success. And if you're not having that mindset, if you feel like you've made it and you feel like there's no room for growth, then what is the point of you even continuing down your path in ballet or anything? If you can't improve and continue to grow, then what kind of enjoyment can be had out of it? If you've reached the top and you can't get any better and you're just doing it just for the sake of doing it, is there any joy in that? There are different things that I can do intentionally in order to shift my mindset from I know what I'm doing to I have a lot to learn and I want to learn. One thing that I do in practice is every single time that I go into a class, I pray to God and I ask God, please teach me something in this class. And even when I've gone into like the intro classes, which are very easy for me at this point, even when I go into those intro classes, I'll pray and I'll say, God, please show me something in this class. Please let me learn something. And he always answers that prayer. In fact, it was funny because the one time that I didn't pray that prayer, I had a terrible experience in class and I didn't learn anything. And I was just completely overwhelmed. And I mean, take it as you might, but I truly believe that there was no coincidence there, that I didn't go in there with the right mindset or the right posture or that hunger to continue to learn. And I didn't ask God for help. And so I didn't get that help. And I struggled and I suffered for that. But my point is, if I go in there with intention and I say, God, teach me something in this class, he always answers that prayer. He's very faithful with that. The rooms that you enter will change. Your ability will increase with consistency and time. This isn't about will I get better, because of course you will. This is about will getting better make you less teachable. Even if you're at the top of the top, there's still somebody who can teach you something. And when you think that you're not teachable, you really aren't at that point. You become unteachable. And that's when you've really failed and hit a point where there's kind of no point in going on anymore with ballet or anything else for that matter, because you're just doing it for the rhythms now. You're not doing it to grow. If your career, if your passion, your art isn't causing you to grow, then there's no value in it. Because art, yes, the product that we produce is for an audience, right? But at the heart of it, at the core of it, as an artist, what you produce is really for you. It's so you can show the world who you are, and it's so you can grow in the process and learn something from that. And that's the biggest takeaway for me in ballet is I do want to get great so people can watch me on a stage one day and say, "Oh, he is great." But that's not what it's about. It's about me and my feeling and my growth and the process and being disciplined in ballet and feeling like I'm going through this journey and seeing the progress that I'm making within myself and what ballet is teaching me, not just about my physical body, but about life in general. And let me say, ballet really does teach me a whole lot about life in general. If you're enjoying the vlog, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and let me know how you can be more intentional about having that posture of tenacious teachability and how you can continue to grow in your career, in your relationships, in art, and in your life As always, keep moving forward in faith and with reverence.